Hi, welcome to week three's update. I have a mic, so thank you very much for your recommendation. Apologies, I've just finished at the gym and I felt kind of guided to just do a spontaneous video. What's been going on over here in Australia? Let me just take these off. That's better. Okay, so if you're new here, my name's Bex. I'm a UK doctor and I've been in Australia now for 3 weeks, living on the Gold Coast, and I'm due to start work any day now. I was actually due to start work on Monday, but unfortunately my visa has still not been finalised. So in today's video, I wanted to give you a bit of an update on what's been happening, where am I at with my visa, APRA, medical license, accommodation, car, life, just give you a general update. And I feel like some of the updates might be useful for anybody else, especially medical professionals wanting to come to Australia, because things definitely haven't been as straightforward as I thought they were going to be. And I'm definitely not complaining. Everything happens in divine timing, right? So if my visa hasn't been processed, it's for a reason. And we may not always see that reason with our physical eyes, but the universe has a plan. So I'm just going with it. And every single morning, I'm just waking up, doing my priming, my visualization, my gratitude exercises, and I'm staying in alignment, because I think it's really easy when things don't go to plan to start panicking and to start coming from a place of fear and getting impatient and just starting to think that things are not working out in our favor, but they always are. So this is a really good opportunity for me at the moment to practice coming back to the present moment, being grateful for where I'm at, and just having faith that everything is working out the way that it's supposed to. And I think if I would have come over here straight away and started work when I was supposed to, it wouldn't have given me that opportunity to work on my mindset every day, because it's tricky, isn't it, when things don't always work out the way that we want them to. Okay, let's get into the updates. Since I last updated you, I have now received my APRA registration, which means that I'm a registered medical professional here in Australia, which is very exciting. I have my provisional registration right now, and then after 12 months, what happens is, as long as my supervisor at the hospital is satisfied with my performance, I will then get full registration with APRA, and that will allow me to do locum shifts all over Australia, or to stay in my current hospital, or to go on to GP training, emergency medicine training. It opens many doors, so that's really exciting. Let's talk about the visa. Waiting for my 482 visa to be processed, and that is a employer-sponsored visa, valid for 2 years. And then my current hospital have advised me that they can extend it for up to 4 years, which is fantastic. It also leads to permanent residency. There were a few other options when it came to visas. I could choose another visa that would be valid for a year, but then it wouldn't lead to permanent residency. And because my plan is to stay in Australia long term, I thought, although the initial investment is a little bit higher, so my visa was $3,100 approximately, it's worth it, because then I don't need to reapply every year. My employer submitted the paperwork to immigration on the 20th of May. Bearing in mind it's the 3rd of September now. Once immigration are satisfied with the nomination, then you submit your visa application. So I submitted my application on the 20th of June. So on their website, it states that processing times are currently anywhere between 50 days and 5 months. It's a long waiting time. So this morning I thought, okay, let me just try and call immigration. I can explain that I was due to start work, and perhaps I can just try and speed things up a little bit. However, that is not possible. When you call immigration, it clearly says that agents are not able to give any updates, and you just have to wait for them to process it, So you can't even explain the situation. The good thing is my hospital have written a letter to immigration stating that they need me to start work immediately, well, from next Monday basically, and it would be much appreciated if they could just speed up the process. So I'm hoping that they will see that letter and process it this week. Fingers crossed. And that means that I'll be starting work on Monday. However, intuitively, I don't think that's going to happen. It's just taking a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. And I think that's probably also because there were a few delays with my APRA coming through, and immigration needed my APRA registration. So yeah, everything is taking a lot longer. And I guess that's just something to bear in mind. If you're coming to Australia as a medical professional, I would say for all of the paperwork to get processed, visa, APRA, I would probably allocate at least 4 to 5 months for all of those things to be approved. So anyway, that's the visa. Then I'll give you an update on accommodation. Very, very, very lucky, because before moving over to Australia, I found an apartment to rent for 3 months. My initial plan was to stay in an Airbnb, and thank goodness I didn't do this, but to stay in an Airbnb for 2 weeks, or a hotel for 2 weeks, and then just find somewhere for a year. But what I found out over here in Australia is the criteria to rent an apartment is really strict, a lot stricter, I would say, compared to the UK. So you have to provide proof of funds, you have to show that you're working over here, you have to have a visa. So can you imagine if I would have come over here and then my visa, wouldn't have been processed, and I wouldn't have been able to find somewhere to live. So every day I give gratitude for the fact that I've got somewhere until mid-November, but I still need to find somewhere after November, so a rental for a year. So fingers crossed, my visa will be processed within the next few weeks. But it's not the end of the world, even if for whatever reason my visa doesn't come through before November, and then I can't find a rental for a year, and I don't have a visa, and my tourist visa expires. There's always a solution to these things, isn't there? And I'm not even going to think about that plan B right now. I'm just going to, I live a lot by the law of assumption and the law of attraction. And in my mind, it's done. Like, the visa will come through, and I'm not even going to worry about what I'm going to do if it doesn't, because, it's out of my control, isn't it? And I always believe that if things are not working out in the way that we want them to, it's either because there's something to learn during this process. And for me, it's probably patience, because I am very impatient. But like I said before, it's also a really good opportunity for us to work on our mindset. And every single morning, I'll link the videos that I use actually to work on law of assumption. And it basically states that if you live with the end in mind, and you say to yourself every single day, this outcome is already done, like the universe has taken care of it and it's done, and this visa will come through when I need it to, then you can let go of that control, because it's like everything is working out behind the scenes. And the more we try and control the outcome, and we control things to work out in the way that we want to, the more frustrated we get. Whereas if we say, okay, I've done everything that I can do on my part, and the universe is just working things out, and I just need to relax and assume that it will come through when it's supposed to come through, then you can kind of like just give it to the universe and then focus on other things. Just like I said in the video the other day, there's no point in me every single day being in this like, oh, where's the visa, because then I miss out on enjoying the present moment, being a tourist. I just have to say, I've done everything, the universe is sorting it out, I can relax. Always when I get into that state of like, but what if it doesn't come through, think of a plan B, but think of it from a place of, excitement and curiosity, and just fun, and think, okay, if the visa doesn't come through and I get to the end of my tourist visa here for whatever reason, then where am I going to go? How can I generate income? And I'm very, very, very lucky, because my YouTube channel now, thanks to you guys watching the videos, has started to make some money. It's all good. I'm not going to worry about it. But every day I do have to do a lot of mindset work to stay focused because I am in a foreign country by myself and I'm not working, and it can feel a little bit stressful. I think the main thing that I have been worrying about is just accommodation, you know, what's going to happen when this lease comes to an end in 2.5 months. Where am I going to live? But worst case scenario, I'll get a room, or I'll get an Airbnb, or I'll go back to the UK. No, that won't happen. I'm staying here. Anyway, that's the whole visa situation, accommodation, and then let's talk about transport. Some of you guys have messaged about transport, and I'm so grateful that you did, because it's just allowed me to go to so many places on the tram. The bike is working well. I found out that you can go to Brisbane for 50 cents on the train, so that's on my agenda as well. But I have got a car at the moment. I didn't take out the subscription, but I rented a car for 4 days. Yesterday, I went to Mount Tamborine. I'm going to post a vlog. Oh my goodness. Probably the best day that I've had in Australia so far. It was so much fun. I did zip lining at the Cannon Flyer. Highly recommend, although it was a little bit scary. I went to Cedar Creek Falls. It was just epic. And then tomorrow I'm going to Byron Bay for 2 days. So watch out for those vlogs. Enjoying being a tourist at the moment. This morning, however, I woke up and I was going to go exploring, and I was probably going to go to Springbrook National Park. However, when I woke up, I had quite a few emails from my hospital and just lots of stuff that I needed to just sit down and sort out. In terms of exploring, what have I done since I last spoke with you? I've been to, you've probably seen on the vlogs, haven't you? I've been to Wavebreak Island, Bargara Waters, so I've been kayaking, snorkeling, that was so good. Tamborine Mountain yesterday, tomorrow Byron Bay. And then when I'm not exploring, you know, on a bike or on the train, I'm literally just getting up in the morning, spending an hour or two just in the gym, and then, you know, coffee, journaling. And then there's a beach literally 5 minutes down the road, so I'll just go there, read a book, do some, you know, meditation. I'm just so content here, honestly. The other things that I've been trying to figure out, and you guys can probably give me some tips here. What I found out is in Australia, when you earn above a certain amount, you have to put in a tax return every year. I don't think I'll have to do it this year because I've only just arrived in Australia, but I was just looking online this morning, and from what I understand, you claim back anything that you need for work. So for me, scrubs, stethoscope, shoes, but I just didn't understand how to process that claim basically. But my understanding is I could just keep all of the receipts via the ATO app or website, just scan them in every single time I purchase something for work, and then put in my tax return next year. I don't know. If you guys could offer me some clarification, I would really appreciate that, because I'm just trying to get to grips with everything. The other thing I was going to give you an update on is, when you come to Australia, you can open a bank account. You can even open it from the UK 14 days before coming over, but you can't use it unless you have a valid visa. And then this morning, I saw on my UK bank account, there was a transaction that I didn't recognise. So I had to cancel my UK debit card. Luckily, the bank that I'm with in the UK are really good. They shipped another one out to my friend in the UK. I'll be receiving that over the next few weeks, but you can just set up a virtual card anyway, so it's fine. I can still access my account. I'll give you some updates about work as well. So I did get an email week before last giving me my schedule for the first 2 days. And it's basically just an induction to the hospital, and then you're allocated 2 days, which is fantastic, to do all of your e-learning. And this is pretty standard. I had to do this at my UK hospital as well. In Australia, you have to do BLS, which is just, you know, basic life support, the practical element of it every 3 months. In the UK, I did ALS, which is advanced life support. So it's interesting that even if you have, an advanced life support certification, they still require you to do BLS every 3 months. But I think that's really good. I was also sent a reimbursement form, so I can actually claim back approximately $3,000 for relocation costs, which is fantastic. And depending on where you go, that relocation amount will actually vary massively. So I had an interview at Townsville and also Alice Springs. The relocation was actually the highest at Townsville Hospital. I think they were paying, I can't remember the exact amount, but it was substantial. Alice Springs was higher than the Gold Coast. The Gold Coast was actually the lowest amount, but to be honest with you, I didn't base my decision off that relocation allowance, and I'm just very grateful that they're paying anything, because remember, although I'm a lot older than most second-year doctors, I am still only a doctor coming over here with 1 year's worth of experience, right? So for them to still pay, for my flight and my first month accommodation, it helps massively. So I just spent some time this morning gathering all of my receipts, filling that form out. And then the other thing I was going to fill you in on, and this is so unusual, and this might be a bit boring if you're not in the medical profession, but I'll tell you anyway. In the UK, when you set out to do your PGY1, PGY2, it's basically like a 2-year contract. You rank all of your specialities because you spend those 2 years rotating through different medical surgical specialities. So it's 3 4-month blocks in year 1 and 3 4-month blocks in year 2. So for me, I worked in cardiology, hepatopancreatic biliary surgery, and psychiatry. All of your jobs are allocated, so for those 2 years where you're going to be working, which hospitals, and it's kind of like you don't have any interviews. It's just all set out for you. Here, however, and this I found very, very interesting, when I was applying for the job, I was asked which departments or which specialities would I prefer. So I advised the hospital that ideally I would want to work in emergency medicine and also psychiatry, because I really enjoyed psychiatry, probably because I just love talking to people. So I was allocated, a placement in ED and a short placement in psychiatry, but those only take me until the end of this year, and my contract runs until September next year. So I actually have another interview in a few days' time, and this interview is not for me to get a job at the hospital because I already have the job, but it's for them to decide if I get the speciality of my choice. And I think the reason being is because a lot of people come over here wanting to work in anesthetics and ICU, but I would probably rather work perhaps in cardiology again, or respiratory or gastro, all of the main kind of medical specialities that you'll see a lot in GP. Or I could extend my time in the emergency department, because then you get access to everything, right? Or I could perhaps request a block in pediatrics. So I need to decide basically over the next day or two which speciality. I mean, I definitely don't want to do surgery. That's like 100% a no-no. I'm not a surgeon. I'm a medic for sure. But basically you need to decide over the next few days, what I'm going to ask for. And I don't really mind, as long as they don't put me in a surgical rotation. I am actually quite happy to work anywhere. It's tricky, isn't it? Because at the moment I'm still deciding if I'm going to apply for GP training or emergency medicine training, or if I'm going to give up on the idea of doing any specialty training and just do locum shifts, or if I'm going to stay on the Gold Coast and just apply to be a senior house officer next year. It's tricky because at the moment I'm kind of like, I haven't had a taste of what it's like to work in the emergency department here in Australia. But the specialty training program is 5 years and GP training is 3 years. But you know what I'm finding, to be perfectly honest with you, there's a part of me right now, and I think this is one of the reasons perhaps that I haven't started work, is I'm actually really enjoying creating content and filming videos and editing them, and I feel like I would like to be doing that even when I'm working as a medic. So how can I balance the two? Because this is such, a cool kind of creative outlet for me, like I've said before, but I really miss being a doctor as well. So I definitely want to blend the two. But I feel like when you're about to do speciality training, it's so intense, isn't it? Especially emergency medicine, because in year one you sit your primary exam, which is a written exam, and then you do a viva as well, which is like OSCEs at medical school. It's very, very intense. GP training is not as intense, but it's tricky at the moment for me to decide what I'm going to do because I don't even have a visa right now. But I know that emergency medicine is really resonating with me, and I haven't even worked in ED over here. It's very strange. Like intuitively, I feel guided to do ED, but in my logical mind, I'm like, that is probably the most intense career path that I could choose. But one of the things that I love about medicine and being a doctor is how mentally stimulating it is. Like, I need that mental stimulation. My brain just needs to be working. And I think if I choose that path, it will give me that mental stimulation that I'm really missing at the moment, because the exams are super intense. And that's one of the main things that I really enjoyed at medical school, is sitting down with all my books and looking at concepts that I just felt like I couldn't get my head around, and then using a bit of brute force. And after a few days or a few hours, it clicks, and then you're like, I get this, and it's so satisfying. And then you use that knowledge to help your patients, and it's even more satisfying. So I feel like if I did choose emergency medicine, it would mean a lot of studying, and I really enjoy that. I really, really do. But it would be working full time as well. So I don't know, when I posted a poll on my YouTube the other day and I said, should I do emergency medicine or GP? I think 80% of people said GP. But I don't know, there's a part of me that feels really guided to do emergency medicine. Maybe it's because, as you know, I grew up in a very chaotic, living situation, and maybe my nervous system needs the chaos. But maybe I should do GP because it's a little bit more chill. That will perhaps be in my 6-month update video, what speciality I've chosen. But the thing is, I have to decide within the next 6 months, really, because you have to apply for things pretty much a year in advance. So I do have to make a decision. So let me know what your thoughts are. It'll be interesting to get your point of view as well. Still in limbo, but I'm trying not to I'm trying not to use that language, because then I'm going to miss out on this present moment, right? And like somebody said on the YouTube the other day, once I go back to work, I'm going to reflect on these moments and probably wish that I could have been off work for longer. So I'm definitely not going to, jinx it and wish that I could start work straight away. Although I do miss it, I have to be honest, especially since I got my scrubs through the other day. I'm like, I just miss really helping people. And I was going to do some work in a shelter and just try and volunteer or do something, but you can't. It's so strict. Being on a tourist visa means you can just do tourist things. Overall, honestly, I have absolutely no regrets. And I was thinking this morning, if I would have known that my visa would still not be processed by this point, would I have stayed in the UK and just done locum shifts as a senior house officer until my visa would have been processed? Because that would have been a better option financially. And the answer is no. Honestly, I felt so guided to come over here, and I wouldn't have had this apartment for 3 months if I would have waited, because the dates just wouldn't have worked out. They needed somebody to stay here pretty much from the day that I landed. So it all worked out perfectly. So you know what? Even if it means, living on a bit of a budget and just feeling some days a little bit worried, just tiny bit, I still wouldn't change that decision, because now I get to experience the Gold Coast, like a tourist, and I get to see all of these amazing places, and I'm so grateful for that. So I wouldn't change anything. But the key is when things get delayed in life, or when things just don't go to plan, it's coming back to the concept of divine timing, isn't it? And I know that some of you watching won't be spiritual. I get that, I really do. But for me, this is just what works. And I know that behind the scenes, everything is always working out in our favor. You know, if I would have arrived and started work a few days ago, I probably wouldn't have the opportunity now to focus on, you know, being creative and going out exploring, making videos. Wouldn't have the opportunity to work on my mindset every day, because things, you know, I wouldn't need to, because I'd just be getting up and going to work. Whereas now, because it's a little bit uncomfortable because my visa's still pending, every morning I have to spend a good half an hour, 45 minutes just coming back to gratitude, coming back to that concept of patience and law of attraction, law of assumption, and knowing that everything is working out in the way that it's supposed to. Sometimes it's not easy, is it? Because we want things to happen in the way that our human brains and logical minds just want them to happen. But you just have to have faith, don't you, that everything is working out in your favor. And I truly believe that as well. When, sorry, I'm rambling on a bit now, but you know, when people are removed from our lives, or relationships don't work out, or friendships don't work out, you just have to have faith that it's for our highest good. And then when you live from that place of just faith, you can just enjoy life a bit more, because you know that somebody's watching over you and is making sure that everything is just working out the way that it's supposed to for your soul's growth. And I know that one of the main lessons that the universe still wants me to learn is patience. Because like I said before, I am very impatient. And I have this thing where when I'm ready to go, especially at work, I'm just like, right, let's do it. I want to go. And it's like the universe is just holding me back, you know? They've got the reins and they're going, whoa, just chill. Just chill. It's not time yet. It's not time yet. Right, I will leave it there. I don't think I've got any other updates. So what's coming up? Hopefully work next week. But if not, like I said, tomorrow I'm going to be going to Byron Bay, and I found this place. Well, I haven't found this place. That is a complete lie. You guys told me about this place called the Crystal Castle, I believe, Shambhala Gardens. So I'm going there tomorrow morning. I'm so excited. They have these amazing angel wings made out of amethyst crystals. Oh my goodness, I can't wait. And you can pay a little bit extra to have your photograph taken. Well, it's actually a photo of your aura. So I've paid to do that, and I'm very excited to see what that's going to look like. And then in the afternoon, I'm going kayaking again in Byron Bay. So hopefully to see some dolphins. So I'm staying in Byron Bay overnight. Show you where I'm staying. Then the following morning, I'm going to the farm. I'm going to vlog all this for you because I think it will just be such a cool video to look back on. And you can actually pay a little bit extra to hand feed all of the animals. So it's a tour called Into the Paddock, I think. And they take you around and you get to feed all the goats. And oh, I can't wait, honestly. These experiences make me so happy. And then in the afternoon, I'm going whale watching, which is really cool. And I actually went whale watching when I was in Brisbane a couple of years ago. So I'm very excited to be doing that again, and then drive back to the Gold Coast. Super easy now that I have this rental car. I paid $140 for 4 days, and they were kind enough to give me an upgrade. So the car is pretty much brand new. It has like GPS, aircon, cruise control, everything, and it's automatic, so it's super easy to drive. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing, and I'll vlog everything. And I'm glad that you're enjoying the videos. Thank you very, very much for watching the videos and for being here. And do you know what I really appreciate as well is you guys, first of all, have welcomed me with open hearts. I've said that many times before. Having you guys, you know, send me emails that I read. I may not reply to every single one of them, but I want you to know that I read every single comment and every single email. But I really want to thank you for taking the time to give me tips on where to go, where to eat, where to explore, telling me to be careful about the snakes. Thank you for that. I was looking out for them at Tambourine Mountain yesterday. I didn't see any. Saw some wallabies though, which was really cool. You can see those in my vlog. I was a little bit afraid that, I don't know, as a POM coming to Australia, maybe you guys would get sick of all the Brits coming over, but I haven't felt like that at all. I felt very, very, yeah, just welcomed over here, and everybody's super friendly, and I'm just super grateful to be here. And I'm definitely not planning to go back to the UK unless this visa doesn't come through, and then I might have to. But who knows. Anyway, I'll leave it there for today. Thank you very much for watching. I'll just keep doing weekly updates just so that you guys know what's going on, and then I'll continue to do my vlogs as well so that you can see what I'm getting up to, where I'm going, because those are really, really fun to watch, hopefully, and I enjoy making them for you. So please stick around, and if you have any questions or if you'd like to leave a comment, please know that I read every single one of them. Very grateful for every single one of you being here, and I will see you soon. Take care.